All right, and we are live, everybody. Fresh podcast episode for your Monday afternoon, depending on where you are. It could be your late evening. Um, Joined by a guy that hit me up off of a post I made in a group chat community for metal bands and such. And the guest I have on, I don't know if it's going to be music for everybody because we all know how extreme music could settle on some folks here that aren't used to it. Could be kind of abrasive and surprising if you're not used to that kind of stuff. And the music that my guest plays it's hardcore music. You could say it's metal because it is, hardcore basically is kind of like a mashup of like punk and heavy metal. It just kind of has a collision course with each other. And he's from Pennsylvania, and his band is called Syphon, and he's the mastermind. How are we doing, CJ?
Doing great. How are you doing today?
I can't complain. Finally not sick and able to do my podcast again, so I'm happy.
Glad to hear it, man.
Yeah. So let's just hit the ground running, man. And I want you to go ahead and share with the people that are going to be tuning in now or later where it began with Soul Siphon.
Soul Syphon probably started about 2019, man. I was playing in two bands at the time.
In the
Inner
heat of
Turmoil and
COVID.
Music for Life.
Yeah.
And I was writing songs for both bands at the time, and I had a group of songs that didn't really fit either band. It's kind of a little bit heavier.
Right.
So I just kind of put them to the side, and then it just kind of snowballed into Soul Syphon.
Well, hey, it's funny how some things kind of fall into place like that. Might not be something you plan on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And
then
I just kind of sat on them for a few years. So
yeah. Well, they found a nice little thing for you to kind of channel them into, So that's pretty cool, man. And when Soul Siphon was starting to take shape, though, man, what was the you described these songs as like heavier, than what you were doing at the time. Was it always going to be that heavier kind of thing for you, or did you kind of toy around if you like to actually, do singing? Did you kind of toy around with that, or like how did it actually kind of land on being hardcore?
Well, I kind of honestly, I was just tinkering around with Guitar Pro 7 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was really getting into that, and it was just experimental, I guess. I was trying to get out of my comfort zone and get out of my wheelhouse with the other two bands because I wanted to do something different, and like it just ended up being too heavy for them bands. So I was like, you know what? Let's just bring it over here. I tinkered around with clean singing a little bit. I'm not really a big singer, dude. Don't get me wrong. I love pop punk, and I'll sing along with that in the car every day. But the singing that I was trying to do with it just wasn't fitting with it. So I was like, screw it. We're just gonna do heavy balls to the wall, like as heavy as I can go.
Yeah. Well, hey, if the clean singing doesn't work, it doesn't work, man.
Yeah, I tried. It wasn't for lack of trying.
I mean, it's kind of one of those things where even if you don't feel like you got necessarily a voice for the clean singing, I mean, if you toy around long enough, you could probably find like a comfort for that kind of singing where it kind of works.
Yeah.
So I would say maybe in the future, you could probably circle back to that and toy around with it again and see how you feel then, just kind of keep your box kind of open,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I just kind of lost. I tried for a little bit, and I just kind of lost patience and got frustrated. It's just like, all right, time to move on to the next idea.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty relatable.
Yeah.
I sing in private myself, like in the car, or just when I'm home with my kid. I'm okay. Maybe I don't know. I've never really been told, but I could relate to that. You just kind of you're like, this is kind of just frustrating me, so I'm gonna stop for now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But your harsh vocals, though, man, like, did you always do that? Were you always able to do that, or did you just kind of develop it?
I've always been able to do that. I think I started doing vocals like that. Actually, when Kublai Khan dropped the Balancing Survival and Happiness album, that's when like I started practicing along with Matt Honeycutt's vocals in the car every day on the way to and from work, and that's kind of just how I developed that. And then I also did them type of vocals on the side in Inner Turmoil and Back to Life. Like me and the vocalist would go back and forth
Right.
sometimes. But yeah, I've always done. They've pretty much for the last 10 years, my vocals have been like that.
They're pretty damn solid for that because hardcore vocals, man, those could be pretty intense and hard to do. You know, like they
Yeah,
take a lot of. Would you say it takes a lot to project it?
yeah, it does,
You know,
man. It really
yeah,
does.
because
I Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say that when I try and do fry vocals, I'm still trying to figure out how to do that in any kind of way, but that's even hard for me. So I could imagine the vocals that you do. That's probably even a more kind of difficult thing to kind of learn how to do with your vocals or your vocal cords and not damage them. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. The best way I could describe it is I just take a big inhale of air and kind of like push it out from my stomach and my diaphragm. That's how I
Right.
get that sound. But yeah, I see what you're. I can't do fry vocals, man. I can't.
Really?
Yeah, I can't do them, man. I can't. I wish I could. I'm like low. Honestly, low is about the only range I have. I mean, I used to do like the hardcore yells. I could do hardcore yells, but
Yeah.
like they're so high that I sound like a chick. Like I basically, it's like if you took like Backtrack's vocalist and Incendiary's vocalist and just raised it like a pitch.
Yeah.
That's about what it would sound like.
I don't know, man. That kind of sounds interesting to me.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing it on the next one, the next Soul Syphon release I put out.
Yeah, I mean, why not? You know, it's your stuff. You can just mess around with it in any way that you want. You
Yep,
never know. People might think it's sick.
that's true. Yeah, it's never bad to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. And you know, for hardcore music in general, for folks that don't listen to it a lot, and I think it goes with any kind of music too, though. The To make it sound dynamic might be a little hard to do, but you pull
Yep.
it off pretty well. You know, I say that there's very clear distinction between each song on the EP. And while I'm on it, I like how let me make sure I got the track listing right because I'm going to talk about how unsound bleeds into volatile. I think I got that right because it's not how
Yes, sir.
volatile bleeds into half empty. Okay, good. Was making sure I had that
Yep.
right.
You hit the nail on the head, buddy. You got that right.
I like how you do that. You know, it ends with that kind of like it's almost a melodic kind of sounding riff because it's kind of calmed down. It's not so fast and jagged or rigid or you know whatever you want to use to describe that. And just things like that on the EP. I like how you do that. Like there's moments where I even think that the guitars, like the riff, will remind me just a little bit of something Korn would do. Not like a new metal kind of way, but just like a heavier kind of take on a Korn riff.
That's
Um,
Korn was actually they were a subtle influence on
really,
that EP. Yeah, I was digging a lot of Korn at the time of writing that, and I was like, how can I like subtly put little elements, kind of shit that Korn does in there,
well, I heard
without
it.
being too obvious.
Yeah, well, that's something that's kind of funny with me. I pick up on that stuff pretty quick. Not all
Nice.
the time, but like I listen like that though. I like to listen for like subtle things.
Yeah.
And maybe it has to do with the wide range of bands that I listen to. I'm primarily the heavy stuff. I don't really do a lot of pop or hip hop or country or anything like that. But when it comes to the heavy stuff, I pick up on things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So, but yeah, you do a really cool blending of like influences on it. Like I think I hear maybe some knocked loose in there. You know, obviously you love
Yep.
Left Behind, so that's obviously a thing on there. And Kubla Khan, you mentioned them. They're, you know, I definitely say you fit that.
Yep.
Just to name a couple. And how have you been getting any kind of like? What are the comments been like on like YouTube or when you post up on your socials from people that like find your music?
People like how heavy it is. A lot of the comments. I mean, people will comment with emojis a lot. The fire
Right.
emojis usually that's been a consistent one. People love how heavy it is though, so it's been getting pretty good reception for the most part. My YouTube videos, I'm kind of slacking on promoting that. I'm only one guy.
Yeah.
It's like a one-man project. So tackling all the social media shit has been a challenge, to say the
I
least.
do it the same way.
Yeah, it's a challenge, man. So
Yep.
I've been just trying to do like one social media platform at a time, like building one up. Then when that one gets to a certain point, move on to the next one.
Yeah.
But YouTube, my YouTube videos don't have a whole lot of views, just mainly because I've been focusing on promoting the Spotify.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah, I saw your picture you posted up for Spotify. Was it a couple of days before the EP or a couple of days after? Because iTunes says it was January 24th, so definitely after.
yeah,
I think you posted it up. Pretty decent numbers for that, man. For when what you got.
yeah, man. I was actually really
Yeah.
surprised, man. I honestly, I was floored, dude. I didn't know. I checked my stats on Spotify the day before the EP dropped, and
Uh-huh.
I think I had like 146 monthly listeners. And then Friday came. I had work Friday, so I didn't get a chance to check it. So Saturday morning, I checked it, and it was up over like 1,500 monthly listeners. So I
Nice.
was like, "Holy shit!"
It's amazing how your reach just with dropping a song or even EP or an album, you don't expect it, but it could just blow up like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
So,
And honestly, I sorry to interrupt you, but
oh,
I have to give credit to Left Behind, Zach Hatfield, because what helped me was, I mean, they haven't been active for the last couple of years, but I had Zach do that back when Featured X was a site. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
not sure.
It was a website it was up and running back in 2021,
Okay.
and you could go on and you could commission vocalists from like
Oh,
big
okay.
bands to do a guest spot. Somebody bought the site, they've taken it down since then, which is a shame. But yeah, I sat on that guest spot for a few years, and I think that's what helped me for the most part, because on Spotify they let all Left Behind's followers know that, hey, they did a collab with this band, and I think that's where all them numbers came from, honestly.
Hey, you take what you could get.
Yeah, man.
You
Any
know?
publicity is good publicity, dude.
Yeah, like even as much as I hate it, it's obvious when I get a bot to like and follow my page, right?
Yep.
Like you go to the profile and you're looking at it, like this is clearly a bot, but I can't remove it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I look at it like it's a number bump. So I mean, whatever. I
Yeah.
can't really hide it.
Kind of got to take it at face value. You know what I mean?
It's
Just
like
take it
thank
for
you,
what it
bot,
is.
for the like and stuff. You'll never interact with me, but cool.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, let's dig a little bit deeper into some of like the inspiration or influences that kind of bleed into what you do with Soul Siphon.
Okay. Yeah. When I was writing Reality is Bleak, it was shortly after Knock Loose dropped A Different Shade of Blue.
Mm.
And I was super into that record. I just love it because it was very atmospheric. Like,
Yeah.
and that's, I don't know if you can probably, it's probably pretty obvious on mine. Like, I just wanted to create like some soundscapes and like kind of like, because I feel like when you have depth to your songs and you have like all these layers and stuff and all this stuff going on, kind of paints a story that's anybody can interpret. You know what I mean? And there's no right interpretation either. Like whatever you hear and it makes you feel, that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. I like that because you have what those songs mean to you and why you wrote them, but it's awesome to hear what other people take away from it.
Yeah.
Me personally, when I listened to your 6-track EP, I got a lot of, there's some stuff on there for like mental health type stuff.
Yep.
I feel like there's a little bit of like talking about, I don't know if it's just that little voice feature that you have at the end of, hopefully I get, which I think it's Disconnection that it's at the end of, where it talks about God, maybe God, look at how God is in the universe or something like
Oh,
that.
that was actually Privileged Hands.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, no problem. And then that was actually, I just put that in there ironically because it's actually a sound clip of Charles Manson going on a crazy rant about God, and I just thought it fit really well.
I thought so. I liked how that's where I was taken away that maybe there's a little bit of a religious tone on it, but I
Yeah.
don't think there is really. That's
Well,
just like,
no, there is some just spirituality, like
okay,
questioning
cool.
your beliefs and stuff.
Cool. And then I also caught a little bit of like you talking maybe a little bit about societal stuff.
Yep,
You know?
absolutely.
So I think there's a really good depth of, things that you touch
Yep.
on those 6 songs that my wife, when she listens to stuff like this, it's not a lot or often, like even stuff that's not hardcore, because she's really not a hardcore fan at all. She's barely a metal fan. She likes more of like Breaking Benjamin or
Oh, right on.
Bolt
I love Breaking Ben.
Nine. Oh yeah, me too. And,
Nice.
stuff like that. And uh, I had her listen to a couple of songs off of the new Architects album when it came out.
Okay.
And she says it's kind of hard to understand him when he's doing his screaming sometimes. And I'm like, well, your ears aren't trained or used to how to being able to pick up on them enunciating or pronouncing those words.
Absolutely.
You kind of learn how to listen over time with that stuff. So I mean, you're valid to not understand it, but it just takes a little bit of listening a little bit harder. Because to me, like when I listen to your music, I hear what you're hearing, you're saying clear as day, like your words.
Yeah.
Someone else, like my wife, is just going to sound like a bunch of raw, raw, raw,
Yep.
But I know what you're saying.
I agree with you on that point. That's what I tell people as well. I tell
Yeah,
them you have to have an ear for it. Like
yeah,
you actually have to be into the genre, and then
yeah,
once you listen to it for so long, it's like your ears trained to understand what's being said.
yeah. That's exactly it. And the funny thing, man, I hated stuff with like really harsh, intense vocals all the way up until I was maybe about 14 years old, maybe 15. And the bands, there's like 3 bands that kind of started to change my mind on it, because you probably heard how people think that it doesn't take talent or it's not hard to scream, right?
Yeah.
It's completely false because it takes a lot of work to do it. But I used to think like that, and the bands that won me over was Trivium, Soilwork, and In Flames. Those
Nice.
are 3 bands that kind of started to change my mind on it because they incorporated melody into it, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
some dynamics and stuff. And so I'm like, okay. And so then that opened up my mind to stuff where it's just screaming all the time or harsh vocals all the time. And I just vibe with it all the time now. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like there's usually something, not in everybody's case, where your mind kind of gets changed on it.
Yeah.
Like a flip gets switched on.
Yep.
So I'm happy it happened for me because I love hearing like whatever I could get my ears wrapped around or into.
Yep.
um, Kind of went away from what we were talking about there, but I just felt like sharing that with
That's
you.
okay. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
let's touch a little bit on what the hardcore metal scene is like in Pennsylvania and your neck of the woods there.
Well, I'm in Lewistown, PA. So I'm about, I'd say, a half hour outside of State College, where Penn State is.
Okay.
Um, the hardcore scene in Lewistown is kind of, I mean, there's not really one, but I don't. Are you familiar with the band Bench Press? You ever hear them?
No, that's a new one. I'll have to check them
They're,
out.
they're from around here. Their guitarist, shout out to Skip. He comes into my work and drinks. I work at a bar in town here, but me and him,
Sweet.
he's in there every day around the same time. So me and him shoot shit about music and stuff. They're really good. If you want to check them out, and then I'm pretty sure Neil from Steel Nation. I'm pretty sure it's Neil. I might have that wrong, but he owns a coffee shop in town here. Um, but yeah, there's not really a scene here in Lewistown. Now Harrisburg's about an hour away. That the scene is way bigger there, the hardcore scene. Yeah, that's so if I want to go to any hardcore shows, I either got to go to Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, Philly, or Lancaster.
Well, at least you got something somewhere you could go to catch it,
Oh,
man. So
oh yeah,
you got a few
absolutely.
options.
I'd like there to be a bigger scene around here. I was
Yeah.
actually thinking about trying to start booking shows in this area and like creating a scene around here, but I'm not. I mean, it's worth a shot, but I don't know. I'm maintaining a balance of optimism and realism at this point because I don't want to go break myself trying to do it and then not have any good results.
I mean, it's a good thing to have that present in your mind when you approach it, but maybe look at it like this too, while keeping that mindset, healthy in your mind, that you won't know until you see and try though,
Yep.
right? So
Yeah.
you could always test the waters and not do it in a way that's gonna, like you said, break you,
Yeah.
and just kind of see if there's like a ripple that creates, that comes from it, or like a wave of interest. Because most things I believe are worth trying at least
Oh
once
yeah.
to see how it turns out.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, I thought about it. There's a couple venues around here now. There it's more like moose lodges and elks
okay.
clubs or VFWs. But
Mhm.
I thought about looking in to see how much it would cost to like rent one out, and then I'd have to. I'd know, dude. Honestly, like this would be all new to me, so I'd have to like figure out what
Oh
I'm gonna
yeah,
have to do
yeah,
and how I'm gonna do it. I haven't even honestly. I've given it some thought, but just not that much lately.
yeah. Well, definitely do your research. I agree with that.
Yep.
Because you definitely want to understand it, know how it works before you try it, because you don't want to go in blind.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
that's yeah, I agree with you. That's smart. Um, so moving on to the next thing, to go, excuse me, going in a little deeper with it. Still recovering from a little bit of a cough, I think. What's that?
Oh, no problem, man.
So with your music, and you can frame this around the EP, because I think we kind of touched on this already, but I kind of want to go a little deeper to see how broad or how wide your vision or your goal with Soul Siphon is. So with Soul Siphon, for the vision, the sound, or message, uh, was there any specific thing that you wanted to represent in the imagery, sound, and lyrics, or are you just kind of the kind of mind that if you see something that kind of sticks with you in your mind and you want to write about it, you write about it? Or do you pull from experiences that you had in your life and write about it in that kind of way? Or is it like a big mix of things?
It's pretty much a big mix of it. I'd say it's about 50-50 of them
Okay.
two. Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of times where I'll see something and it sticks with me and I just want to write about it. And then there are other times where I'm dwelling on shit, like whether it be experiences, past experiences, whatever. And then I'll just write about it. And then sometimes I'll use it and sometimes I'll just put it in the vault. And then, because I still have piles of lyrics that haven't even been used, man. I
Yeah.
save everything, dude. I'm a hoarder when it comes to like stuff like that.
Yeah. I lost a lot of notebooks of lyrics because I write all the time. But I've lost so many of those notebooks over the years that I honestly don't think I have any of them anymore. And it's kind of a
Man, that
shame because
sucks. Yeah, that
I have a
sucks.
lot of stuff. I mean, you can always write new things. So
Yep.
I was bummed, but at the same time, I'm like, well, move forward.
Yep.
But yeah, that's cool, man. I think I'm a similar kind of person when I write. It's a mix of a lot of things because I don't like to stay in one lane.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
cool, man. So breaking down the experience because you're a one man band, as far as I know, you do things yourself. You might have some people that kind of do things here and there, I would imagine, but
Yes,
um,
sir. Yep.
overall, what was the experience for Life is Bleak creating the EP for you?
Um, well, I kind of just it kind of just poured out of me, honestly. I had it written within I had everything written, lyrics and music within like I think like 2.5, 3 weeks.
Hmm.
And then recording it was awesome. I record with the former drummer of Back to Life. He's recorded all Back to Life stuff. He recorded Inner Turmoil's EP when I was with them. He's really the only guy I've been recording with for like 10 years. I don't want to record with anybody else. He's
Hey, when
fun
they're
and he's
good, they're
fun to
good.
record with.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to him. He's the homie, man. But yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I can't wait to start recording again. I have some stuff in the pipeline. I'm just kind of sitting on it right now, like I always do.
Let it
I have
marinate.
a bad habit of just sitting on stuff and not doing anything with it. So
Well, hey, what's better, rushing it or letting it take its time to cultivate and grow,
Yeah. Yep.
and something bigger.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Because listening to the EP, man, it sounds really full. It's big, it's loud, it's heavy, it's aggressive, it's a lot of things. I even think that uh, there's melody in there too, man. Hardcore, it's kind of hard to pick up on it sometimes, but you throw it in there here and there, So
Yeah.
uh,
Thank you. I tried not to overdo it either.
yeah. Well, you know how some people are the term gatekeepers, right? Like with uh so Whitechapel, let's use them as an
Okay.
example.
Yep. Okay.
They didn't have any clean vocals for their entire career up until I can't remember which album it is.
The Valley.
The Valley. Wasn't there one song on a record before that, or
Uh,
that he did clean vocals on too? That he wrote about somebody that he knew that committed suicide, and so he wrote a song about them. But in either case, though, what I was going to say is uh, people were kind of mad when Phil decided that he wanted to sing
yep.
because they're a death metal band. They do some hardcore and death metal and stuff. They can't put cleans and melody in their music. And I was like, well, they don't think like a musician would. The thought there, in my opinion, was, well, they wanted to kind of widen their range of sound, right?
Yep.
And that's a smart thing to do because doing the same thing all the time, it could burn you out, or it could kind of start sounding stagnant or the same. So I thought it was really cool when they decided to do the clean singing and incorporate more of the melody. That's in my opinion, some of the best songs that they made is him
I
singing.
agree.
He's got a pretty great voice, and we all know how great he is with the brutal and the harsh vocals,
Oh
man.
yeah. Oh
Beast,
yeah.
you know.
Yep.
But my point there is people don't like change when something's a certain way for a long time, right?
Yep.
But flip that, like I just said a few minutes ago, flip that onto the artist or the musician's brain and train of thought. Well, think how it is for them. Well, man, we do this every album. Let's switch it up.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Becomes monotonous. Yeah.
yeah. So, but I think that with however long you do Soul Siphon, man, I think that you're going to be successful with incorporating a lot of different things into it, but keeping it familiar.
Yep. Absolutely. Actually, I'm actually kind of thinking about because, dude, on Whitechapel's The Valley, Hickory Creek, I love that song. I don't care what
Yeah,
anybody
dude.
says. I fucking love that song. I jam that song a couple times a week still. I
Yeah.
kind of want to do a song, just one song like that.
Yeah,
That's
dude,
what
you
I'd like
pull
to
it
do.
off. Yeah, you'd pull the hell out of that, man. I think one of my favorites on their recent albums is Anti-Cure. I love that song, dude.
Oh yeah,
That
man.
riff is freaking heavy. And then, when they mix all the cleans in with the harsh, and yeah, they do it well.
It's blended very well.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I agree.
And then they come out with freaking hymns and dissonance,
Hymns and
man.
dissonance, yeah, man.
It's just disgusting.
Yep, I'll be jamming that this week too, man. That thing is heavy as hell.
It's like, in case our fans forgot that we could still do this, here's
Yep.
this,
Yep.
for those that didn't want the clean singing, here you go.
Hell yeah. Yep.
But yeah, man, do you want to talk about a few of the songs on the EP and what they kind of meant to you writing them?
Yeah, sure. I think I'll start out with the last track, Elegy.
Okay.
That one has pretty big significance to me. That's about when I was like 15, my uncle was diagnosed with stage 3 lymphoma,
Mhm.
and we ended up losing him. So that's kind of like that's about what I was going through at that time. So that song like is really close to my heart. Like there's a lot of raw emotion in them lyrics.
Yeah, I hear it, dude. I picked up on that when I listened to it. I'm like, this sounds like this is about someone that he lost.
Yep.
So yeah, I totally picked up on it, man. He did a hell of a job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm glad you're able to pick up on that. Yeah, that song that's a really personal one. And then another good one that I really like is probably Privileged Hands, man.
Hmm.
Because that one, I wrote that at a time where I was comparing myself to a lot of my peers
Right.
and just not feeling like I was going anywhere in life. So that's pretty much what that song's about. I was really frustrated. Just like I said, I was comparing myself to other people, and you can't do that. Like
Yeah.
you can't do that. So yeah, that's. I figured if there are other people that I know, there are other people that do the same thing. So figured that was really relatable.
Yeah. It definitely is relatable, man. It can be pretty easy to kind of fall into that cycle of comparing yourself and thinking you're falling short in something
Yep.
in life and want to be at a certain level that you see your peers at. I get it. I completely get it.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's those are pretty much the two that like really stick out for me at least.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you did a hell of a job, man. Like I've been saying the whole interview with the EP, it's got a lot of emotion in it, very raw, emotion. And despite what people think with hardcore music, it's got a shit ton of emotion in it, man. It's not just angry, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to listen a little deeper, a little
Yep.
harder, and a little closer. Um, and then you could probably answer this one pretty obviously, what the hardest song on the EP for you to write was. And I'm assuming it was Elegy.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say it was hard. It was just it brought up a lot of old feelings
Yeah.
because the lyrics just kind of poured out of me. Like writing it wasn't difficult, but it just brought up a lot of old emotions, which is, I mean,
Hmm.
that's healthy at times because it's
Yeah.
that's healthy at times. So
I guess you could call that closure in a way.
yes, yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I never
Yeah.
thought about it like that. I mean, it's kind of
Yeah.
it should have been obvious for me, but I
Well,
guess yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was kind of like a closure thing for me.
yeah. And then you answered this one all on your own, and I didn't even have to ask you. I was going to ask you how the Left Behind feature happened for Unsound, and you already covered that.
Okay,
So
cool.
I say hell yeah to that. I love that song. And then you talked kind of about this. What's your plan if you're going to try and do a show here and there? Because obviously you're going to have to maybe get people or
Yep.
stuff like that. You have a plan?
Yeah, I have a few people I'm talking about right now that like they're in established bands around like the Harrisburg area and I've known them for a few years. Um, they're gonna try and like make time, and what I'd like to do is maybe do like 4 shows a year,
Hmm.
and then at a different venue each time. That way, I can draw. It's kind of makes it like an event. It draws more people in. Because then, like after like 4 months, they're and they see a flyer, they're gonna be like, "Oh, Soul Siphon's playing another show." So that's what I'd like to do. And then, I mean, if it gets serious and it's, starts getting more attention, I might start booking more shows and try and actually get like a permanent lineup.
Well, that'd be really cool, man. I hope that happens for you. I feel like it will.
I hope
Um,
so too. Yeah.
you'll find the people that you're looking for, and it'll happen.
Oh yeah. I have confidence in that.
Yeah. But like I said, don't rush things,
Oh yeah.
but actively be developing them at the same time.
Yep. That's a good way
Um,
of wording it. Yeah.
yeah, and then to start wrapping up, so I could get you on your way. Uh, I'm on to my last question, but I have more that I have in my head that I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
So we touched a little bit on what the future could hold for Soul Siphon, but I'm going to touch on it again to see if there's anything else you'd like to share with people that watch. As far as a plan, current plan and then future plan, aside from trying to do some shows eventually. You touched on new music. Uh, have you thought about trying to do a video besides a lyric video?
Well, I did actually. It's funny you say that because I actually like I have footage for a music video. Like I originally planned on dropping music videos for Privileged Hands and Half Empty, and I have footage for both of those. But it's been DIY like for all the aesthetical shit.
Uh,
So, had some family stuff come up with my
yeah,
dad.
yeah.
Probably 2 weeks before like I was set to drop all that. So like editing it became an issue. It was hard to juggle everything that was going on. So that's ultimately why I didn't drop a music video. Plus, I don't know like what the fuck I'm doing when it comes to that kind of stuff, and I'm extremely limited when it comes to editing software.
Yeah, I
So,
wouldn't know the first thing either.
but I'm thinking about when I actually do a music video. I was thinking about my buddy Tyler Beam. He's the new vocalist of Last 10 Seconds of Life.
Oh man, I haven't thought about that band for maybe a year and a half.
Yeah, they just signed to Metal Blade Records.
Sweet.
Yeah,
They're
dude.
gnarly.
Yep. If you can get them on for a podcast, man,
Oh, I would love to.
they're dude. Tyler's the man, but he does video production. He did Back to Life's music video a few years ago when I was playing for them. So I'm thinking about having him do whenever I do a music video, just letting him do it because he knows what he's doing.
Well, hell, man, it sounds like you've already got a connection and a resource to kind of help you along there.
Yes, sir. Yep. I don't
That's
know.
cool.
I mean, granted, he might be a little too busy. It's going to be
Right.
now. He might be because I mean he's got a big tour coming up and shit. So it's just going to be a matter of scheduling it.
Yeah. As with most things in life.
Yeah. It's just going to be a matter of finding like the right place and time, I suppose.
Yeah. And then as far as new music goes, you say you have stuff that that's there. Do you have like a window of time that you're hoping to try and have something out, like a song?
Yes, sir. I'd like to. I was actually thinking about doing maybe like a 2-song spring promo,
Okay.
or like summer promo, and then around fall, drop another EP.
Oh yeah, man. Because I'm excited to see what you try for new music. Possibilities are endless in my head. It's you might find yourself thinking, oh man, I want to add some industrial influence into this, and start playing around with like synths or sampling sounds and doing an unconventional kind of thing, because industrials start out being like an unconventional approach to a bunch of different genres smashed together.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, I'm excited for the future for Soul Syphon, man. I was pretty excited and surprised by what when he reached out to me, and I went and I was checking stuff out, and like, oh man, yeah, I think it's gonna be fun talking to this guy and see how his mind works for his music. So yeah, it's been a fun time, man, having you on here.
Oh yeah, man. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much for having me, man. This has been awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to have you on any number of times, man. This is never a one and done kind of thing. I keep the door open for anybody that's on or comes on. So
okay, absolutely. I'd love to come on again, man.
Yeah, and then just so the listener or watchers could know, why don't you go ahead and list off where they could find your music and your social media?
Social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter. Twitter's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of inactive. That one's been on the back burner, but you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Soul Syphon Music, TikTok and YouTube is Soul Syphon Official. Streaming platforms, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart Music, Deezer, all of them pretty much. I'm pretty much on everything. That's pretty much it.
Well, sick, man. I hope people go and check you out. That's the goal for this is getting people to listen to you and see you, have visibility.
Yeah.
I do what I can, that's the hope that I have when I do any of these podcast episodes, whether they're a bigger band or a smaller band, it doesn't matter to me. I just want to share with people. So
hey man, people like you are keeping the scene alive, dude. That's people like you. That's what it takes, man.
Yeah. Like I say,
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a community, man, and we gotta treat it like that and help each other out. That's my whole thought process there.
Oh yeah, brother.
Yeah, but yeah, man, I'll be getting this uploaded to the YouTube channel. It's just Liars Pacifist podcast on there. When you go to look for it. And then once this is done, I hit the end stream, and we're wrapped up and everything. It's on my Facebook page instantaneously. You can do whatever you want with it, share it around or whatever.
Okay.
Or if you'd rather wait for it to be up on YouTube and share it from there, you could do that too. So,
Okay. Absolutely.
but yeah, been a great time, CJ. Love talking with you and learning about what you do. Like I said, looking forward to the future of Soul Syphon. I love the shit out of the EP. It's right up my alley, and
Thank you so much.
I hope that others find it and love it too.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity and thank you for having me, man.
You're welcome. Have a good rest of your day, man.
Hey, you too, buddy.
Bye.